I'll record this in case some of those who might come in late wants to watch it. That'd be fantastic. Still letting some people in. Again, this is Eric Hatch with Century 21. I'm here to help, just help anyone and all the agents that I can to be able to give what I've done and my service of 27 years of serving real estate and clients and giving them the best 5-star service. I will tell you guys where I get most of my leads, guys, right now are coming from Google and through Yelp and some various different places on that. So if you guys, and I know we will have another class on it, but I think I've gotten like 4 leads in the last 3 days just on those only. So those, getting your reviews and stuff on there and having them find you on there and finding your good information in your reviews has been fantastic. So I will keep you posted on that, but I want to share today, we are going to share my screen. I would listen to Jared James, and as mentioned, guys, we were talking about conversion, and I come just kind of adding this on to the back end of the other one that we were doing last week. So if you missed that one, it is recorded and it is on my YouTube channel that you guys can go back and check that out. So I'm going to go right here. So we'll go on to this one. We'll add this. And if I have one of my grandbabies comes over and says hi, I will have to say hi to them. Let's see. I want to go slideshow because they have these automatic doors here. And so I don't want to start there, guys. So I might just have to go there so you guys can see it. So I will make that a little bit larger. All right. But they have automatic doors here and the kids are just keep pushing the buttons. And so it's kind of cute. They just kind of keep it. It's kind of unfortunately, it kind of allows them to escape a little bit easier. All right, guys, we're going to talk about a little bit more about lead conversion as I promised. And I listened to Jared James this week. He's given us a couple really fun tips that I really want to emphasize on and actually share a little bit with you guys because I do use them and it's about just being conversion. Again, there are lots of books, lots of videos out there in regards to lead conversion and things that you can do. And good morning. I'm just watching my chat there too. So I want to share this, guys, is that what's really important is understanding the love language of your client and how they want to be communicated. And so you guys love language. There's a lot of different ways to show different love to communicate with an individual. Certainly there's the words of affirmation. So wherever it's your significant other, husband, wife, whoever it might be. And so people love to get the words of affirmation. So this is important. People like just to get gifts. I mean, there's like lots of gifts that people like to do. Quality time is a love language, and personal touch. There's a lot of people who are very touchy kind of people and do a lot of hugs. I loved it when I owned the company years ago, and I would watch agents come in and people come in, and I knew that if an agent walked in or a client walked in as a walk-in or a client walked in after showing property, when they're saying goodbye, Sheila Salter is a great friend of mine. She's actually who got me into real estate back in the 90s. And she was really cool. And I remember she would just always hug her clients and just always did the super personal and have this personal touch with them. So I knew that if they hugged their clients, and she hugged them, that there was a bond there. And so their personal touch is really important. And some people, they absolutely don't want to. And I know we lost a little bit with COVID and stuff of feeling, well, am I supposed to shake your hand? Am I not supposed to shake your hand? Am I supposed to hug you? Are you not a hugger? As you realize that there are still some people that will show up to look at houses and they've got masks on. And so then I quickly run back and grab a mask and say, I've got a mask. If you'd prefer, me to wear it, I'd be happy to do so as well. But you just want to kind of watch and match that, because I know in the last couple of months that if I showed up and somebody came in and got out of their car with a mask and I didn't have one on, that could totally offend them. So you're wanting to match kind of that love language. So we'll add masks and non-masks here to our personal touch here. But I just remember seeing Sheila always hugging her client. And I thought it was so nice because I knew, wow, she really bonded with them. And so that was my first go at it when I was first into real estate, watching her do that. And sorry, we got something wheeling behind me with a loud noise down there with the cart, because it is, I'll just wait for this. So I want you guys to realize that we need to ask how we want to communicate it by. So you guys need to ask this to your clients. It's super critical. And here's kind of the ways, because if you guys email your client and they don't respond back, because you guys are going to get a lead, and some of you guys are going to get leads. Some of them, they might walk into the office, which is fantastic. I'm telling you guys, I built my business by walk-in traffic. but it's completely changed. That we just don't have a lot of walk-ins. You'll still have a few that will come in, but I'm telling you, I used to get probably 6 to 7 walk-ins a week when I first started real estate because there was no internet. There was no internet. There was just a book that they had to come in to see an agent to be able to get that information. So it's changed. So sorry guys, is that too noisy back there? Valerie, is that totally, you can still hear me okay over that little, they're wheeling carts behind me down there. All right, so email important. Do they want to be to the phone? I mean, guys, there'll be a time where I'm texting Valerie back and forth for 2 weeks, going back, Valerie's my buyer, and then finally they say, hey, we are my seller, let's say in this case, and they finally come back and Valerie goes, Eric, are we ever going to talk? And are we ever going to communicate? And I'll go, what do you mean, Valerie? We've been texting like every other day, talking to you about houses, and this person's coming and that person's coming. So you got to be careful not to get stuck in that mode where you're just texting all the time, even though they're texting you back. But you just need to realize that there has to be a phone conversation, because I don't like it when you call a seller and maybe you're on the market a month and so, oh, it's really good to hear from you. And you're going, wait, we've been texting like over and over and over. So doesn't that count? So sometimes these people don't count texting as a personal touch. So emails, phones, text, social media. I've got two clients right now that you better watch that, because you may not go check out your direct messages or your messenger in FaceTime or Facebook. You might kind of miss some of those. So make sure that you are watching all your channels, so somebody will actually be communicating that way too. And so I've got somebody who we are absolutely 100% communicating through just direct messaging, just boom, boom, boom. And that's what we're doing. Some people, they love my video. They absolutely love it. And I think that's important to do. So hopefully you guys are using video. Now you guys don't have to have a bomb or anything like that. I know Jana sent me a video. I think Ali sent me a video. I know, I think Jessica's sitting in here, and you just basically just kind of like go, I've got some escrow officers that just send me a little video. They just grab their phone and like, hey, just wanted to let you know, blah, 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 blah. And you just kind of like communicate. Then you just send that. And so people actually like that. So that is something where they're seeing your face too. Now I wanted to add one more thing through here, is through a family member. And you think, what do you mean through a family member? What does that mean? Well, I have a client right now, which is really difficult in today's age, that they don't have an email address. And they want to send everything through a family member through their email address, so they can communicate through them, so then they can get the paperwork. They talk to their son and they say, okay, it's great. Then we have to drive over to their house and actually sign it. So sometimes we have to go back to the old fashioned way of meeting face to face and just sit there. Okay, here's some paperwork to sign. It's a little bit harder. It's harder to be able to do that. If you've got a listing that's 20 minutes away or 25 minutes away, and you've got to go, the RR, the offer, the counter offer, and all that, and you got to keep going back and forth. It's difficult on that too. So through a family member is basically just because it's happening right now with one of mine. As you can see that it circled the building. All right, so I want to share, guys, that 72% of the time, the client uses the agent who they speak to first. Anybody ever had that experience where if you and I'm a little nervous because I have a listing appointment on Tuesday, because she said, hey, I've got a listing appointment, or I go, hey, how about Monday? Because that's when she wants to start meeting with agents. I said, hey, how about Monday? And she goes, well, I already have an agent on Monday. And so, at that point, you say, okay, great. I'm sure that's going to be a great meeting. So you want to share, if you get something like that in this example, I would say, okay, great. What time Tuesday works for you? And here we go. And then I might make a comment like this, and I'll say, hey, Ali, I know that you're meeting with this other agent on Monday, which is great, because I totally encourage all my clients to meet with at least 2, possibly 3 agents to be able to get kind of a feel. If you actually have a rapport and you feel good with that person, to talk about pricing, evaluation, asking a lot of different questions. So it's really, really important for you to meet with a couple different agents. So I'm excited that you'll meet with somebody on Monday. So any questions that you have left, or you forgot to ask them, then feel free to ask me on Tuesday, and then we can have that conversation. So what you see there is I just completely just took that and said, hoping that they just don't sign boom on Monday and just say, hey, I'm good to go. That's great. On another one, I think Jana and maybe Ali have heard this example, but it was down in Newcastle. For those who are new, I went in first, and I knew that they had another agent coming in behind them. And so then here was and I could totally tell it really didn't matter to this person, in my personal opinion. They just were after price. They just wanted to sell their home. Let's get it done. And I knew, and I had a feeling if I left that house that day, I probably would not have had the listing, because I could just tell that they were they just whoever was sitting in front of them probably would work. So I said, hey, I said, John, just want to let you know, are you happy with the price the strategy that we're discussing? Oh, absolutely. Any question about my marketing? Are you happy with the marketing that we actually would provide for you? Oh, absolutely. Are you happy? Do you feel like we have a good rapport? Because I feel like we have a good rapport. Oh, absolutely. I said, then, do you really want to go through this whole thing and spend an hour and a half with another agent tomorrow and have to go through that and spend your time on that? Or would you just rather just sign some paperwork and go today? And he said, oh, let's just do it today. So we did it today. Now that doesn't always work, because there's a couple of times I've tried that. So no, I really want to meet with the other people and, on that, so there are some languages that you can share with that, because now I kind of think, well, wait, did I miss it? Or are you just being polite because you want to meet with two people? So basically I signed that contract right then and there. And I even said, do you want me to, because there's the other agent, I know who she was. And I said, do you want me to give her a call, or do you want to, because I don't want to put them in an awkward situation. And they said, oh no, it's totally fine. And this has happened to me as well. I've actually got canceled on and said, you know what, we went with the agent today. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming. So, you're going to get some and you're going to lose some, but you got to understand the language that needs to be said as you go to those listing appointments of how to step forward and actually be the one that they're going to pick, because that 72% of the time, whoever it is, they'll go with. So, and this is what I want to share on a pro tip today as an example here, because this is going to be a little shorter class. So we can have some question and answers here, because we're supposed to be checked out here. But I want to share this here is that oftentimes, so Valerie gets a lead that comes in on Realtor.com, and it's a house that they want to see. And so now Valerie gets super excited because she's got a lead, even though that lead probably clicked on 6-7 different other houses on Realtor.com, and it probably went to 6 to 7 other different agents. And Valerie might say, hey, this is Valerie, Century 21. I just wanted to check in to see that you requested information on ABC Banana Street. I'm happy to assist you in finding a home. When's a good time that we can sit down and chat? So she texts this information to this person. And, in that case, sometimes they'll respond. It kind of just baffles me and surprises me so many times, where I'll get so many leads during the week, and I'll email them, I'll text them, and I'll DM them all three times. I'll do a video message. I'll send it all within about the first maybe a minute and a half of when I get that lead, because it is speed to the lead, which is super, super critical because of that 72%. And I don't get a response. They don't even call me back. They don't send me a message. They don't email me. And so remember, we talked about last week that you're, around that 7 to 12 times, you guys need to keep after them, because that's where the money's made. Because if I send something over here, Valerie clicks the button. I talked to a guy yesterday and he goes, wow, my phone's ringing off the hook. Where are you guys all coming from? And he was I'm sitting in the middle of work. Can you just text me? And so I said, absolutely. Now, did he call me back? No. Do I have to go back and reach out to him? Yes. But I did get a phone call yesterday that another gal that said, Eric, I just want you to know, thank you so very much. I've had a flat tire. I have this. I've had this transmission problem. And then I had to call you back, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for your persistence.
Thank you
for calling me, and I really appreciate it. So because and that was probably the 5th touch that I actually was working with her. And so she finally reached back. But I want to share an example. Maybe somebody in Valerie, I send this to Valerie, or Valerie sends this to her client, and her client doesn't respond, because that client might say, oh, wow, this is like the 4th people. I'm just going to deal with this later. I'm at work. I'm just going to deal with this later. But here's an example. Guys, the goal may not be to convert them on the first call, but the goal is to have a conversation. So again, 72%. So we want to have that conversation with them as fast as we possibly can, even though they may not, because it's on their time. And, they may not have that time. They might do it later in the afternoon. So if you send a text out, Valerie sends a text, the email at noon, then you feel free to reach back out around 6 o'clock, 5:30 to say, maybe they're done with their workday. Maybe they'll reach back, because the other agents may not be doing that. But here's kind of the kicker part. Actually, I'm going to skip this because I want to go right here. I want you just to say that example and say, is this John? So instead of Valerie putting all this blah, 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 blah stuff and helping you, and say, and let's say the client's name was John, they say, is this John? Now, John, in the previous example, might have said, I'm too busy. I'm just going to push this off. I'm getting too bombarded. But if I get this text and said, is this John? Then maybe they might go, well, yeah, this is John. How can I help you? Then Valerie can say, hey, John, thanks so much, because I just wanted to touch base with you because you had reached out and requested some information about a house. Because that one example, they were like, I'll deal with it later. Now that we have their attention and they say, yeah, this is John, how can I help? Now you immediately know they are willing and able and wanting to engage right then, and you have their attention. Because is John just going to say, Valerie sends him a text now going, hey, this is Valerie, Central 21, blah, blah, blah. And do you think he's going to ignore that? He may, but you have a very high probability and cause that they may then at that point, because he feels like he's already engaged in that conversation, that he wants to have a conversation with you and say, oh, yes, that was the house on blah, blah street. I'm super happy that, thank you for reaching out. I'd love to go see it. And then you have this conversation. So now you're going back to that of having that conversation and just having that. So you actually have the highest potential of grabbing them as a client. Here was another idea that this happens. So let's say Carl's joining us today, and let's say Carl gets a lead that comes in and it's just an email and they don't have a phone number. And Carl's been emailing them, 6, 7 times, and they're just not responding back to him. So guys, if they have an Apple phone or an Apple account, a Google account, feel free to just, I had a client that I was doing this with that I didn't have her phone number in the beginning. And you can actually just text that email into your text box, and they actually communicate. And if they've got an Apple account or Google, it will actually text through, and now you have another opportunity to chat with these individual people. So guys, I think that was everything on that, but I also want to show guys and those who are new today. I think I got a couple new ones on here. This is the bit.ly all in with Eric Katz. You can take a picture of that screenshot. That actually has a lot of things, of lists and different things of trainings that we're actually been doing. So any handouts that we actually have, feel free to go there. And then that if you want to invite some friends to this training right here, that is a link to our training for Friday mornings right there on the lower one. So that is what that is there. But I just want to share, guys, that's a great example of just putting hey, is this John? And the funny part is somebody did that to me this week, and I actually responded. If they would have responded to me as a sales call and said, hey, I've got new leads to sell you, blah, 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 I probably wouldn't have responded. But since it said, hey, is this Eric? And I said, hey, it's Eric. And then I got the message, and then I was actually conversed with them for a few minutes. So guys, that is what I've got there for you. Is there anything that you guys want to chat about in regards to anything else we did last week? Any stories? I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll have some open free questions, and I will stop recording. That's what I meant.